Hey everyone, I'm Brad and this is Watch Rate Heart, and it's the start of a new week where I not only review films, I also share the thoughts of the Letterboxd community. And for the next few episodes, I'm watching a series of documentaries that are considered one of the best, the Paradise Lost series of films. The killing of 3 young children and the fallout that happens right after. There are 3 films to talk about, of course, so let's stop the intro and get right into the review.
I kind of enjoy it because now, even after I die, people are going to remember me forever. They're going to talk about me for years. People in West Memphis will tell their kids stories. It'll be like, sort of like I'm the West Memphis boogeyman. Little kids will be looking under their bed before they go to bed. Damien might be under there.
Considered one of the best and most important true crime documentaries. This is the film Paradise Lost, The Child of Robin Hood Hills, directed by Bruce Sinofsky and Joe Berlinger. It has a Letterboxd score of 4.1 out of 5, which makes it ranked number 89 in top 250 documentary films. It has an IMDb score of 8.2 out of 10, a Rotten Tomatoes 100% fresh, and it has no Metacritic score. As for accolades, it was nominated for the Grand Jury Prize for Best Documentary at the Sundance Film Festival. Alright, I mean, there's really not a lot to say about Paradise Lost without just saying how amazing a lot of it is and how brutal a lot of the film is. I first want to say that the access the filmmakers get in this film is really impressive. I mean, the first few minutes of the film is the actual crime scene, something I was shocked by. With the actual bodies in the scene itself, I had to look away, of course, because that was brutal. But to have that kind of access, really well done by the documentarians. I also think that Paradise Lost does something that a lot of true crime, not only documentaries, but podcasts don't really do very well. And that is show all sides of what's going on. I think the film just does a great job of doing that. A lot of true crime documentaries and podcasts, they tend to stick with one side and almost act like an activist of that side. There are certain podcasts I used to love with true crime, and then they go down to that section, and I'm like, okay, it's obvious you have a slant here, so I don't think you cannot be entirely trusted. But this film does a really good job of showing all sides of how everyone feels and what they're going through when the crime happens to what happens at the end of the film. And I think this film just does an amazing job of showing that. Honestly, there's really not a lot for me to say without really spoiling what happens. But also, if you listen to a lot of true crime podcasts like I do, and you watch a lot of true crime documentaries like some people do, I think you've heard of this before, so you kind of know what happens from this point forward to the end. But it's easy to see why this film is so important to true crime docs. It not only the access that it gets to a lot of the players in the film, but also with how it treats the subject and the people that are surrounded in the subject. Just treat it incredibly well. And it makes for an easily dynamic and fascinating and frustrating experience. I will warn, if you are squeamish about violence, there's some brutal scenes in this film. I mentioned in the beginning, they show the actual crime scene of the in the first few minutes, and that is very disturbing to look at. But they also show a close-up of what happened to one of the victims that was really disturbing as well. So watch out for that stuff. But really, if you are into true crime docs, if you're into true crime podcasts, if you're into documentaries at all, you should watch this film. It's a great movie. Now, with every episode of Watch Rate Heart, I not only give you my opinions of the film I'm watching, but I also give the opinions of the Letterboxd community. And this first review is from Corey Haynes. Corey gives it 4 stars out of 5, and Corey says, disturbing, infuriating, fascinating, unsettling, grimy, raw, intimate, well-made, and powerful. Similar to Making a Murderer, file this as another example of our incompetent and broken justice system. Everything that Corey is saying is true. It's just an incredibly well-made and powerful documentary. This next review is from I'm That Jeremy Guy. I'm That Jeremy Guy gives it 5 stars out of 5, and he says, an essential documentary, not just for its devastating subject matter, but for its ability to expose the ugly truths lurking behind the curtain of justice. What begins as a mystery becomes a profound meditation on the human cost of societal fear and blind judgment. I think this is the film that really started that kind of documentary and that kind of peek into the justice system, where they would show how it works and what goes on underneath. This next review is from Bert. Bert gives it 4 stars out of 5 with a heart, and Bert says, one of the most indescribable crimes ever committed. This whole thing just sends a chill down my spine. I read Devil's Knot this week, And now I'm heading straight into all the documentaries and movies. It's gonna be grim. The opening scene is where they show the actual crime scene video. I was actually speechless. A fantastic documentary that looks at the early stages of the case and its aftermath. Joe Berlinger is a master of true crime. Yeah, that opening scene is really brutal, but it really opens your eyes as to what everyone is dealing with. On the one hand, I couldn't handle it. I had to look away. But on the other hand, it really does show exactly what everyone is dealing with and why they are so emotional on all sides. And finally, this last review is from Andrea Leforette. Andrea gives it 3.5 stars out of 5, and Andrea says, if you enjoy shouting at your TV and despairing at the human race, then you'll love this. Yeah, yeah, I have to agree. This is one of those films where after you're done, you're like, oh my god, I need a shower. This is fucking awful. But not the movie, but what they are showing. So in review, I think the access that the filmmakers get in this film is incredibly impressive. It does a great job of showing all sides of who is being affected by this, and honestly, it's easy to see why it's one of the most important true crime documentaries. I'm giving Paradise Lost 4 stars out of 5 with a heart. Great movie. Again, I think that the access the film gets is incredibly impressive, and how the film is structured to show all sides of how everyone's feeling about this. And it does it in a sympathetic way. That's key. It does it in a sympathetic way on all sides. And I can't emphasize how great that is that this film does this. I do think it gets a little dry in the middle. But I will say that I think it got dry for me is because I knew the details going in. I've listened to a bunch of true crime podcasts that have covered this, so I was expecting a lot of what was happening in the film. So maybe that's why I felt that sections of the film were kind of dry. But really, if you are into true crime documentaries, you have to see this film if you haven't already. So 4 stars out of 5 from me for Paradise Lost, The Child at Robin Hood Hills. It is on HBO Max if you have not checked it out. If you liked any of the reviewers I've highlighted in this episode, you can check the video description for a link to their Letterboxd profile. Be sure to give them a follow and let them know that Brad from Watch Rate Heart sent you. You can follow me on Letterboxd and X at Watch Rate Heart. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed it and share with your friends. I'm Brad from Watch Rate Heart. Thank you for watching, and remember, we all watch and rate movies, but you give them the heart that makes them live forever.